Welcome and thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Kiana Faircloth. That's right, folks, we're back with another episode of Studio 901, and we are excited to continue spotlighting local, emerging, and established artists that are creating right here in the DMV. With us, you'll discover some of the area's greatest treasures, some of our best-kept secrets, and hear some never-before-told stories about living the creative life. And if you don't know, this show is DCTV's greatest exploration of the art that is among us. Joining me today on Studio 901 is visual artist JNELL Jordan. JNELL Jordan was born in 1987 and raised in Northern Virginia. She attended Adelphi University in New York on a visual arts talent scholarship and received her Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in 2009. Since then, she's shown her work at various galleries in Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. JNELL is an image collector of photographs taken at parties and other events and paints to capture the feel-good moments. Those moments where figures are caught in the vibe of the music, posing, flirting, or caught mid-smile. She paints with oil on top of metallic acrylics using a subtractive fashion of painting, where she wipes away etches into the press against the top layers of oil paint to layers underneath. Lighting plays big parts in her work because it interacts with the metallic colors to reveal different intricacies and patterns from certain angles. This really speaks to the party environment the figures inhabit. There is a youthful spirit in her work, which comes from her influences. The very things that she comes into contact with, which is current in culture, music, fashion, and design, are combined with her loves of drawing the figure, pattern, and metallic light. Welcome to Studio 901, JNELL Jordan.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. You know, one of the questions that we ask right off the bat to our guests on Studio 901 is, at what age did you start being creative?
I don't know if I can remember. It's probably before I started speaking or talking. But I do remember probably around 4 or 5, my brother had this book, and it was a teach you how to draw type of book. And it had all of these line drawings in it, mostly cartoons. It had like the step-by-step, like this is the circle, and then this is the square that goes next to it, or whatever it might be. And so I would try, there was this one teddy bear, and I would try and do it over and over again until I perfected it. And I ended up doing a lot better than he did. And I was really excited.
He's your older brother?
He's an older brother, about 5 years older. But I think ever since I can remember, I just had a great satisfaction around just being able to draw what was in front of me and make it look like what was in front of me, and training my eye to do so.
So you're a perfectionist of sorts then?
I guess
from
so.
young?
Yes.
That's pretty cool. Who are some of your inspirations artistically? Or in life in general that inspires your work? And we're looking at it right here on the walls, beautiful.
Thank you, thank you. I would definitely say Kehinde Wiley. He was a big influence of mine in college. He was like a god to me. What I liked about him was that he would take just normal people off of the street, Black men in general, and he would take photographs of them, he would bring them into a studio, and then he would pose them into these classical poses from the masters, and he would paint them, in their place, which I thought was amazing. He had this big, huge painting right when you walked into the Brooklyn Museum. I don't know if you've ever been there, but that's my favorite painting. But I just love the whole idea of placing us in that, in a painting. Something that, back in the day, you couldn't own a painting, or you wouldn't be in a painting unless you were someone of importance. So he was a huge influence on me.
That's a big statement to make by him, to put us in those classical scenes, works of anybody, Da Vinci, all those folks that, his work is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So are there some other people or figures that inspire your work? I see here that these people are partying and having a great time, you know what I mean? So what actually inspires you to create these works that we see here?
I mean, it's definitely a combination of things, but the most prevalent in my work, I think, would be just people and body language. I've always been just interested in body language. I'm a real introvert and I'm a quiet person, but I do love to watch, and I like how people interact with each other, and I really pay attention to that. So like you said before, I collect a lot of photographs, so I've always done that. I have a whole huge arsenal of just photographs, magazine cutouts, just, you know, Instagram snapshots, Facebook, and just, you know, several different people in different poses and just doing whatever they're doing. And I've always enjoyed kind of putting people who aren't in the same photograph together and kind of having them have a conversation with their bodies. I guess kind of create my own narrative.
Yeah.
And
It's funny that you say that you're an introvert because your work speaks so loudly, but you seem so demure here on the couch, but your work is just, it's so bold, it's bright. And in a way, you have to be sort of a sociologist. You say you study body language and things like that. Do you find that you're sort of a sociologist, psychologist inside of yourself?
a little bit, yes.
Yeah, and it feeds into your work, as we can see here.
Thank you.
Awesome. How would you describe your art if you had to, in just a few words, describe what your art is, what it portrays? What would those words be?
That would be hard. A few words. I think I don't know how to say it that way, but what I want my art to portray, I guess I can't really speak on how someone views it and how they take it in, but I want my art to kind of give you a feeling of joy, of happiness, maybe a sense of nostalgia, that you've been that person before, that you are that person, or that time when you know, went out with a couple of friends, or that time when your song came on and you were just in the moment and you were in the vibe. Like I want it to be that.
Okay, all right. When you create a painting, or have you ever wanted to live in it when it was done? Like it looked like you created something that was so vivacious and vibrant that you wanted to be in it yourself.
Yeah, I feel like I am in them. And that's kind of like corny to say, but I definitely am, because every photograph or image that I paint from, I have a connection with. I wouldn't paint it if I didn't have a connection with it. So they kind of are little self-portraits, even the ones with several people in them, because I feel that figure in it, if that makes sense.
And I can see that, like for this one over here, for instance, that kind of looks like you, one of the ladies in the picture. Was that intentional? No?
No, I get that all the time. I do not paint myself. If I painted myself, I could paint anyone. I could paint you. I could paint anyone in this room and probably get a great likeness myself. I try to change everything that I don't like about myself. But maybe it's subconscious that they look a little bit like
unintentionally.
Me. That could be true.
Yes. How much of the workday or the week do you devote to the art profession?
It depends on the week. It depends on what's going on. I would love to say that I painted every day or I did something artistic every day, but I don't. I think it depends on what I have coming up, and also just the type of mood I am or what happened that day, what affected me, like who I am that day, I guess.
Okay, awesome. When we return, we'll talk more with visual artist JNELL Jordan. Stay close. We'll be right back. This is Studio 901.
When they test you, stand firm and move only when you hear the seatbelt click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race.
Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
As an American, it's hard to hear that we have a serious hunger issue in our country. And as a parent, it's even harder to hear that 1 in 5 of our kids struggles with hunger, especially when billions of pounds of good food are wasted every year. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide billions of meals to families in need right in your community. Visit feedingamerica.org to support Feeding America and your local food bank. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
Welcome back to Studio 901. I'm chatting it up with visual artist JNELL Jordan. Now, JNELL, as a woman and an artist, where do you see art is going?
Well, that's a hard question to answer because art goes wherever it goes. It goes wherever who's making and creating it takes it. I feel like there's so many avenues to show your work, so many platforms as far as Instagram and Facebook, just social media in general. I say Instagram because I'm visual. That's like mine of choice.
Yeah.
But I think right now, I mean, this isn't necessarily me, but as far as issues of you know, social justice and just things that are going on currently, people have they have more of a, like I said, a platform to speak their mind or just draw something that's going on in the moment, just paint something or put together their own, you know, composition.
Material.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have the I guess they have the I'm sorry.
That's okay.
They have the opportunity to show it, you know, at their whim to whoever is looking and whoever is watching and paying attention.
You know, one thing I notice is that art seems to be taking on more of the popular culture. I see it more like the Kehinde Wileys. I'm starting to see them pop up more in different social media settings, on websites, things like that. It seems like art is taking more of a mainstream approach. Do you find that to be the case?
Yeah, absolutely. But it would. I don't see why it wouldn't. It's art is a reflection of what's going on right now, and that makes total sense to me. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
With everything that's the social climate, I guess you could say, that's happening right here in America today, what part do you see that visual art is playing in, for instance, the Black Lives Matter movement? For you particularly as an artist, do you feel the need to take a stand in things that are happening, the ills of America in a way? Do you kind of feel a responsibility in that way to represent what's happening?
Absolutely, and I haven't so much up until this point. I've always done my feel-good art, but I think I was just in that stage, and now I'm kind of moving out of that stage, which you kind of have to because life happens to you, and you have to react, and you have to react the way that you can, only the way that you can. You have to express yourself a certain way. So I think I'm headed towards that way. I appreciate the artists who are doing so. I love to see it as you have to speak up and you have to say it the way you want to, and you have to speak for the people.
And it's interesting, you know, as artists, you might not necessarily be obligated to speak to the societal ills that are happening, like your feel-good work. You know, everybody needs an outlet. So for you and the type of work that you illustrate, you know, it's kind of like an oasis for us with everything that's going on. Is that sort of a part of your mission, I guess, as an artist?
It is, and that's always been kind of what I've stood by, the reason that I don't, because I feel like some people, you know, they expect you to comment. Yeah, and I mean, you don't necessarily have to. I met a woman not too long ago, and she was a poet, and she was so dope. But she said, you know, this is what I do. She's a poet. She's like, I talk about it. She was like, but I can't keep it in. She's like, I have to talk about it, or else it would eat me up inside. And I completely understand that, and I'm just an opposite personality. I want to, not that I want to paint pretty things, but I want to release some good energy. I want something that counteracts that, I guess. And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that, and there's nothing wrong with what she does. I totally, I love that. I wish sometimes that I was that, and maybe I might be. Maybe one day I will. But for me, the artwork that you put on your walls and that you live with, I feel like you need to love it. You wake up. I mean, you live with the artwork. It is a piece of your home. You wake up in the morning and you look at it. It should make you feel good when you look at it. it should take you someplace.
And like you said, you should keep good energy
Exactly,
around
good
you, right?
energy,
That's important.
absolutely.
That is important. Okay, I want to go into another direction. Let's talk a little bit technically about your work itself. What techniques do you use? You talked about subtracting, well, I did in your bio earlier. What does that mean?
So most painters, when you paint, you're adding paint. So you're adding paint to a canvas to create form, or a two-dimensional form, really. Subtractive painting would be kind of similar to chiaroscuro. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but
I remember that from AP Studio Art.
yeah, right. So chiaroscuro is like when you have charcoal, like a white piece of paper, and then you smear it with charcoal, and then you take an eraser and you take away the lights and you build form that way. I do that with oil paint, so they're almost like oil washes. I'm sorry. But I paint on top of metallic colors, which you mentioned before.
So that means you paint the whole canvas with the metallic paint first.
Yes, and so that's just a
Okay.
field of color, or maybe a couple colors.
Oh, I see.
And then on top of that is a field of oil paint, and then I go back into that and I take out the lights to sculpt the form, and then I paint on top of that.
Wow. Now, is that a technique that is signature to you?
I think the metallic and the oil, yes, or the oil wash anyway, the metallic part. Not so much the oil wash, that's old age
Yeah.
technique.
But I've never seen the way the light catches your work and you get the gold tones and things like that. It's very, every time I see it, I know it's you. So that's pretty cool.
That's what I'm going
Pretty
for.
cool. So which is more important to you, the subject of your painting or the way it's executed, or are they both equally as important?
I think they're both equally as important. I love, like I said, I love the connection that I have with the figure, or I call them figures when I guess they're people, but they're my subjects, the figures. I love that connection, and I love what the viewer brings to it when they see it, and I love that connection also. But I love the process. I love the process of creating in general.
Is it therapeutic for you?
It is therapeutic, and it's just, I don't know, it kind of mimics life. Like it reminds me that, when I'm in the studio and I make a couple mistakes or I'm experimenting on something, you don't really know which way to go.
Yeah.
But you have to be fearless, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, do something and don't care about how it turns out, because, it's not going to be a mistake. Or if it is a mistake, then you just learn from it and you do it better next time, or and that's kind of how life is. It's how you navigate through life. You make mistakes, and so I've kind of always held that thought similar to life.
Awesome. Art does imitate life. So.
It does, absolutely.
Well, when we come back, we'll talk more with JNELL Jordan and about what her future holds as an artist living here in the DMV. Stay right there. This is Studio 901.
Thank you, dear. Well, you're very supple. It's like I was at your age. Back then, I was a sex expert. Used to call me the buttered biscuit. I know about birth control, too. So you can ask me anything, baby.
Bedsider.org has birth control information and a lot more. And it's...
Have you had sex in this car yet?
When I was 6, I had one thing on my mind. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball every chance I could. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to learn the signs of a stroke fast. F-A-S-T.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. Because the sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke. F-A-S-T. Fast.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Welcome back to Studio 901. I'm here with visual artist JNELL Jordan. Now, JNELL, what does the future hold for you as a visual artist? What can we expect to see?
Well, I actually just finished a series. Well, I didn't finish a series. I should say I started a series. It's the tip of the iceberg, but it is called Queen Things, and it's revolved around empowering women, which I have a couple pieces here today of those. So for that, I just had a event not too long ago, and I am going to be also launching a project for 2016, which will be a 3-day event in the fall, which I'm really, really excited about.
Awesome.
So for that, I'll be taking nominations for 6 women in the DC area, and we will be, or I haven't decided if it's going to be me or a couple other female artists. We'll see what that holds, but we'll be doing commissioned paintings of those women, their lives, what it is that they do and what they love. And we'll be doing an unveiling in the fall along with the...
Very nice. Now, while I have you here, can you name these pieces that you see that we have here of yours around the studio? What's this one called back here?
That one is called Bust. Obviously, it's a sculpture, bust. This one is called Soul.
Kind of like Soul Train.
It is. It's from many snapshots of YouTube Soul Train videos.
Awesome.
And this one behind here is called Crown.
Crown, why Crown?
Crown because, well, that big crown on her head, obviously. But this is the first one that kind of set off my Queen Things adventure, which is the series. But I was really excited about portraying women who are just really excited to be women who are owning, you know, their beauty and
owning their womanhood.
Owning their womanhood, exactly.
Awesome. Well, where can we find out more about you and get in touch with you?
Well, my website is www.JNELL.com, and that's without the apostrophe. It's JNELL Jordan. I'm also on Instagram at Art by JNELL Jo. I'm posting things every week.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. We'll be right back. You're watching Studio 901, only on DCTV.
In your new role, we help you help. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for information on how to provide even better care for the person who once took care of you.
We have a big problem, and we need your help.
It's happening on college campuses, at bars, at parties, even in high schools.
It's happening to our sisters and our daughters,
our wives and our friends.
It's called sexual assault, and it has to stop.
We have to stop it. So listen up.
If she doesn't consent, or if she can't consent, it's rape, it's assault.
It's a crime. It's wrong.
If I saw it happening, I was taught you have to do something about it.
If I saw it happening, I speak up.
If I saw it happening, I'd never blame her. I'd help her.
Because I don't want to be a part of the problem.
I want to be a part of the solution.
We need all of you to be part of the solution. This is about respect. It's about responsibility.
It's up to all of us to put an end to sexual assault. And that starts with you.
Because one is too many.
thank you for tuning in to Studio 901. It's been awesome chatting with JNELL Jordan. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you again for having me.
She is definitely someone we truly wanted to spotlight on Studio 901 because she is a beautiful, talented sister who is creating some great works of art right here in this area that you should be checking out. Remember, Studio 901 spotlights emerging artists from all over the DMV that are creating and performing right here in our own backyard. If you want to find out more about what you saw today, hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at YourDCTV, or visit us online at our website at dctv.org. Before you leave, I want to leave you with this quote from American essayist, lecturer, and poet Ralph Waldo Emerson. Everything in creation has its appointed painter or poet and remains in bondage like the princess in a fairy tale till its appropriate liberator comes to set it free. Join us for another episode of Studio 901, where we just might spotlight you. I'm Kiana Faircloth. Until next time.